You know when life's just fine? Not spectacular, not terrible, just fine enough that you don't think too hard about it? That's where I was. Every morning started the same. I'd back the truck out of the driveway at 7:05 a.m. sharp, wave at old man Wexler watering his pathetic excuse for a lawn, and drive 10 minutes down to Calhoun Hardware, where I managed inventory and made sure the kids on summer jobs didn't kill themselves trying to lift lumber they had no business touching. After work, I'd come home, find Gloria humming around the kitchen, always something mindless on the TV. Those cooking shows where people scream at each other about burnt risotto, and we'd have dinner. Maybe play a little gin rummy after. Maybe not. Depends if she was too tired. Which, let's be honest, she usually was. I wasn't stupid. I knew what married life could become if you let it. Predictable. Safe. Like one of those padded rooms at the psych ward. Thing is, you tell yourself that's a good thing. Comfortable. Stable. Better than drama. You tell yourself a lot of things when you don't want to face the alternative. Our house was a modest 2-story with the kind of white siding that needed power washing every spring. Gloria kept the place nice, in that particular way small-town women take pride in. Wreaths for every damn season. Throw pillows that rotated with the weather like some kind of migratory bird pattern. To outsiders, we looked like a Pinterest board come to life. Inside it was muted, polite, like two old neighbors sharing a duplex wall. Still, I figured that was normal. Marriage isn't one big fireworks show. It's crock-pot recipes, broken porch steps you swear you'll fix next weekend, and arguing about who left the lights on in the basement. It wasn't until the day of the charity auction that the first real crack showed. See, Gloria had signed us up months ago. Some fundraiser the mayor's wife was running, raising money for the local library to buy God knows what. More beanbag chairs for teenagers to scroll TikTok on, probably. I didn't want to go, but Gloria insisted. Made a big deal out of it, said all the important folks would be there, that it would look bad if we didn't show. Important folks. In Fremont, Ohio. Sure. So, that Saturday night, I found myself buttoning up the one dress shirt I owned that wasn't an ironic bowling league uniform. Gloria came down the stairs wearing a blue dress I hadn't seen before. Tight in a way she usually avoided. She looked different. Not in a bad way. Just like she had somewhere else to be. You look great, I said, because that's what you say. She smiled, thin, polite, and checked her reflection in the hall mirror longer than necessary. Thanks, Harold. Let's not be late. It struck me as odd, the way she said it. Not the words. The tone. Not like a wife reminding her husband. More like a woman on a schedule. At the auction, things were the usual mess of folding chairs, lukewarm coffee, and amateur auctioneering. I wandered around, chatting with the guys. Gloria flitted from group to group like a politician's wife. Laughing too loud. Leaning in too close. I chalked it up to nerves. Gloria wasn't a social butterfly. Maybe she was trying to make an impression. I didn't know then what she was really doing. Laying groundwork. Planting alibis. Smearing on layers of normal, so thick nobody would bother scratching the surface. I stood by the coffee table, nursing a paper cup of the worst coffee this side of prison, when I noticed it. Across the room, Gloria was talking to someone. Not just talking, smiling in that way she hadn't smiled at me in months. I didn't recognize him at first. Tall, clean-cut, expensive-looking watch catching the overhead lights. After a second, it clicked. Terry Matheson, new regional manager for the insurance company. Moved into the Lenox place 2 streets over last fall. He had that kind of perfect, effortless tan you can't get in Ohio unless you're either rich enough to travel or smug enough to spray it on. Terry was saying something funny, apparently. Gloria laughed and put a hand on his arm. Not a casual tap. A lingering press. I crushed my coffee cup in my hand. Little brown rivulets leaking onto my shirt cuff. Gloria must have felt me staring. She turned, too fast, smile stiffening. Oh, Harold. Come meet Terry. I went over, wiping my hand on my jeans. He stuck his hand out. Perfect handshake. Perfect teeth. Hey man, I've heard a lot about you. Wish I could say the same, I said, maybe a little too dryly. Terry chuckled like I was being funny. Gloria shot me a warning look. The kind of mom gives her kid when he's about to tell an inappropriate joke at Thanksgiving dinner. The rest of the night dragged on in that special way only small-town events can. Endless raffles, speeches by people who liked hearing their own voices, too many hugs from people you barely know. Terry and Gloria kept orbiting each other like drunk planets. But here's the thing. I didn't jump to conclusions. I'm not some jealous teenager. I told myself it was nothing. Harmless. Just a bored wife getting a little attention. Happens all the time. Doesn't mean anything. Except it does. It always does. Driving home, Gloria was oddly chipper, tapping her nails on the window, humming along to the radio. I stared straight ahead, jaw tight, thinking about that hand on his arm. "Good night, huh?" she said brightly. "Sure. If you like cold coffee and middle-aged flirtathons." She laughed, a fake, airy laugh, and changed the subject so fast it gave me whiplash. That night, lying in bed next to her, I stared at the ceiling and thought about all the little things I hadn't wanted to see. The sudden workouts she'd started doing. The late meetings that never used to happen. The way her phone had morphed into a third hand she couldn't put down, always face down on the table. Maybe it was all innocent. Maybe it was just midlife jitters. Maybe it was nothing. But I had a gut feeling. And gut feelings, the real ones, the ones that make your skin itch and your mind race, they don't lie. I rolled onto my side, looked at her sleeping face, the slight furrow between her brows even in sleep. She used to look peaceful at night. Now she just looked busy, like she was dreaming about somewhere else. Someone else. I didn't know it then, but the truth was already in motion, rolling downhill faster than I could catch it. And me? I was about to find out that comfortable lies are a hell of a lot more dangerous than ugly truths. The thing about suspicion is it's a lot like rust. It doesn't shout. It doesn't crash through the front door. It creeps. Quiet. Slow. Steady. Until you wake up one morning and realize everything you thought was solid has been eaten alive from the inside out. A week after the charity auction, life had gone back to normal, or whatever passed for normal in a house where nobody made eye contact anymore unless absolutely necessary. I didn't snoop. I didn't trail her. I didn't do the thing every guy in town said they'd do if they were sure something was up. I didn't need to. Fate, as it turns out, had better plans. It started on a Sunday, 2 days after Gloria left for her supposed yoga retreat in Columbus, a weekend thing she'd won in a raffle at work. That was another new development. Gloria winning raffles. Gloria doing yoga. Gloria doing anything that required liquor in public. Still, I didn't argue. Honestly, a weekend alone sounded good. A little beer, a lot of bad TV, maybe finally organizing the garage like I'd been meaning to since Obama was in office. Sunday afternoon, I was knee-deep in old paint cans and broken Christmas lights when I heard a familiar rumble up the driveway. It was Pete Gibson, my neighbor 2 houses down. 65 years old, Vietnam vet, owned exactly one expression, mild irritation. Guy could hear a lawnmower backfire 2 blocks away and know which kid screwed it up. I wiped my hands on my jeans and walked out to meet him. "Hey, Harold," Pete said, eyeing the mess in my garage like it personally offended him. "Got a package for your missus. Was sitting on my porch since Friday. Some delivery kid must have mixed up the addresses again." He handed over a slim white envelope. No return address, just Gloria Sullivan, in clean black lettering. No company name. No logo. Nothing. "Thanks, Pete," I said, already turning it over in my hands. He grunted and shuffled off without another word. Classic Pete. Now, any normal person would have just tossed it on the kitchen counter for Gloria to open when she got back. I should have done that. I would have done that. Except my fingers, acting entirely without my permission, peeled that thing open like it was a Christmas card from Satan himself. Inside was a single piece of heavy cream-colored paper. No letterhead. No greeting. Just an invoice. "Thank you for your continued membership, Miss Sullivan. We look forward to seeing you again soon at the Willow Creek Club." Underneath, a list of charges. Friday, 7 p.m., full access. Saturday, 2 p.m., premium package, private room. Saturday, 8 p.m., couples experience. Total, $1,240. My heart did this weird thing, skipped, lurched, maybe even laughed bitterly, before settling into a slow, hammering thud. I stared at it like it might rearrange itself if I glared hard enough. Willow Creek Club. Name rang 0 bells. But private room and couples experience? Yeah, those spoke loud and clear. I Googled it right there in the garage on my dusty old phone. Took 2 seconds to find. The Willow Creek Club wasn't a yoga retreat. It was a high-end wellness resort, about 45 minutes outside Columbus. Their idea of wellness involved hot tubs, champagne bars, and adult companionship packages that made Vegas look like a church bake sale. It catered to couples, and Gloria had signed up for the couple's experience. While I was at home organizing ratchet sets and eating cold pizza, I stood there for a long minute, just breathing. Then I laughed, out loud. The kind of laugh that feels like a cough and a scream had a baby. God, I was a jackass. All those little lies, all those polite smiles. They weren't building up to some midlife crisis. They were the cover-up. Gloria wasn't searching for herself. She was searching for a better time with somebody who wasn't me. And now, thanks to one lazy delivery guy and Pete Gibson's misplaced sense of neighborly duty, I knew exactly how expendable I was. But it got better. Because when Gloria rolled back into the driveway that evening, fresh from her yoga enlightenment, tan lines hidden under a flowy sundress and a $400 glow on her skin, she had no clue. Not yet. I didn't confront her. Not right away. You don't shoot all your bullets at once. Instead, I smiled, real wide, and asked her how her trip was. She blinked, startled, then smiled back. Oh, it was amazing, she said, dropping her duffel bag by the door. The retreat was so freeing. I feel like a new person. Yeah, I'm sure you do. I offered to carry her bag upstairs. She declined a little too quickly. I watched her practically float into the kitchen, humming under her breath, texting someone with a grin on her face she didn't even bother hiding. Probably Terry tan lines. Or maybe someone even newer. Apparently, I wasn't even worth the title role in my own downfall. Later that night, while she was in the shower, no doubt scrubbing away the faint whiff of high-end betrayal, I went through her car. Not her phone, not her purse, just the simple, stupid places nobody thinks to wipe clean. Found a folded brochure tucked under the passenger seat. The Willow Creek Club. Full color photos. Couples laughing in a hot tub. Couples clinking champagne glasses. Couples wrapped around each other in ways that made me want to light the brochure on fire with my mind. On the back, handwritten in sharp black ink. Can't wait for next time, G. You are incredible. Terry. Of course. I stood there in the dim garage, brochure in one hand, invoice in the other, feeling like the world's biggest, saddest joke. This was my life. This was what my marriage had boiled down to. And the worst part? It wasn't even special. It was lazy. Predictable. The same old story, dressed up with a prettier font and a higher price tag. By the time Gloria padded out of the bathroom in her robe, all fresh-faced and fake, I had already made my decision. I wasn't going to rage. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't even going to ask why. Gloria wanted a different kind of experience. She was about to get one. Because Harold Sullivan wasn't going to sit quietly and take it. Not anymore. The trick wasn't getting Gloria to lie. She was already a professional at that. The trick was letting her do it in real time, watching her set the rope around her own ankles without even realizing it. I waited until the next Saturday. That gave me 6 days to pretend I was still Harold Sullivan, the accommodating, mildly oblivious husband who thought yoga retreats were just about inner peace and not outer nakedness. Those 6 days were long, but they gave me something I hadn't had in a long time: clarity. Gloria floated through the week like a woman drunk on secrets. More cheerful, more attentive, as if screwing around behind my back had finally set her free to be the woman she really wanted to be. It was almost cute. If you like your comedy pitch black. Saturday morning, I asked her if she wanted to grab lunch at Ruby's Diner, one of our old haunts from before everything turned into a performance. She beamed at me like a middle schooler who just got asked to the dance. Oh, Harold, that sounds perfect. Just like old times. Exactly like old times. Except this time, I was the only one in on the joke. We slid into one of the cracked vinyl booths, Gloria chattering away about nothing important. The weather, Mrs. Ellison's new porch swing, some ridiculous podcast she was obsessed with. I nodded, smiling, letting her fill the space with noise. The waitress came by, took our orders: turkey club for me, chicken Caesar salad for Gloria, because God forbid a woman in Fremont, Ohio, enjoy a sandwich without a side of guilt. While we waited, I leaned back against the booth and gave her my best casual husband smile. So, I said, tell me about that yoga retreat. Sounds like you had a real awakening. She lit up. God, she was good. A real natural. Oh, Harold, it was what I needed, you know? Being around other women, finding balance, working on my core. It's like I reconnected with myself. Her eyes glistened. She actually teared up. Give this woman an Oscar. Hell, give her two. Met anyone interesting? I asked, swirling my straw through my Coke. She blinked, caught slightly off guard by the shift. Not really, she said quickly. You know, it wasn't about socializing. It was about self-discovery. Self-discovery. Yeah, in a private room, with a couple's package. Sounds expensive, I said, keeping my voice light. Hope you stayed under budget. She waved her hand dismissively. Oh, it was all included in the raffle package. Barely spent anything. Liar. The food arrived. Gloria poked at her salad. I bit into my sandwich, chewing thoughtfully. Funny thing, I said after a few minutes. Pete Gibson brought a letter over the other day. Said it got dropped at his place by accident. I watched her fork freeze midair. Letter, she said, way too brightly. Yeah, from the Willow Creek Club. Her face, that was the moment it cracked. Just for a split second. Not panic. Not fear. Calculation. That was almost worse. She forced a laugh. Oh, right. That's the full name of the retreat center. I forgot. They're kind of rustic. Rustic? Sure. Because nothing says rustic like champagne service and couples experiences that cost more than my truck's transmission. I leaned in a little, voice low. You know what's crazy, though? I looked them up. Out of curiosity. Thought maybe I'd book us a weekend there sometime. I smiled. A little self-discovery for both of us. Gloria laughed, a brittle, glassy sound. Oh, Harold, you'd hate it. It's all organic meals and silent meditation. You wouldn't last 10 minutes. She was scrambling now. I could almost see her brain flipping through excuses like a Rolodex on fire. Poor Gloria. She still thought she was winning. I set down my sandwich and wiped my hands on my napkin carefully. Then I pulled the invoice out of my jacket pocket and laid it between us on the table, like a magician revealing the final card. Gloria stared at it. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. No words came out. I didn't say anything either. I just let her sit there, marinating in it. The table between us felt about 10 miles wide. Finally, she managed a strangled little laugh. I can explain. Yeah, I said, my voice almost gentle. I bet you can. She reached for my hand across the table. Bold move. But I pulled back so fast she looked like I'd slapped her. You lied, I said, keeping my voice calm. You lied about the retreat. You lied about the money. You lied about Terry Matheson. She flinched at the name. Confirmation. Not that I needed it. How long, Gloria? I asked. Just curious. Since the auction? Before. She bit her lip, eyes darting around like a trapped animal. Harold, it's not what you think. It never is, I said, smiling. Go on, though. Tell me the sanitized version. She started babbling. Something about emotional neglect. Something about feeling lonely. How Terry listened to her in ways I couldn't anymore. I tuned most of it out. I didn't need to hear her try to gaslight the son. What mattered wasn't her excuses. It was the fact that, right there in Ruby's diner, under fluorescent lights and the smell of burnt bacon, Gloria Sullivan finally showed me who she really was. And I believed her. When she finally wound down, chest heaving, eyes wide and desperate, I picked up the invoice, folded it neatly, and tucked it back into my pocket. Then I stood up, tossed a few bills on the table, and said, You're going to want to sit tight, Gloria, because you think this is the part where I either forgive you or fall apart. I leaned in close, just enough that she could hear me over the clatter of dishes. It's not. I turned and walked out, the bell over the door jangling behind me. Didn't look back. Didn't need to. The real Harold Sullivan had just left the building. And Gloria? She had no idea what was coming next. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. I say that's crap. It's best served clever, hot enough that they feel it, but smart enough that you don't break a sweat delivering it. The second I walked out of Ruby's diner, I knew exactly what I was going to do. Not cry. Not argue. Not sink into a bottle and play sad country songs until my neighbors called the sheriff. No, Gloria wasn't just going to lose me. She was going to lose everything she'd built her little fantasy life around. And she wasn't even going to see it coming. Step 1, smile. The next few days, I played it cool. I acted like everything was fine. Better than fine. Suddenly, Harold Sullivan was all about self-care and me time. I took long walks after work. Bought new clothes that didn't come from the bargain rack at Miller's. Started chatting casually with people Gloria didn't like. The attractive widow across the street. The newly single bartender at Kenny's Tavern. I could feel her watching me out of the corner of her eye every night. Like a kid watching a tornado form, but not knowing which direction it was going to spin. Step 2. The money. We didn't have a joint bank account. Gloria always insisted on financial independence. That was fine by me. But what she forgot was the house. The cars. The little things like the utilities all being under my name. Because when we bought the house 6 years ago, her credit was about as trustworthy as a raccoon at a wedding buffet. Tuesday morning, I took a personal day from work and paid a visit to Steve Carson, the best divorce lawyer in town. Not because he was good at fighting, but because he was fast and quiet. Steve was a big guy, thick glasses, a handshake like a bear trap. He didn't waste my time with sympathy. She cheated? Yep. You want the house, the cars, and her out on her ass? Yep. Sign here, here, and here. God bless efficient men. Step 3. The public service announcement. Friday afternoon, Gloria was hosting her wine book club at the house, which, by the way, hadn't involved any actual reading since 2019. I pulled into the driveway with a big grin on my face, wearing my cleanest work boots and a button-down shirt that still smelled like the cologne sample the department store lady had insisted I try. As I walked into the house, Gloria was perched in the living room with 3 of her friends, all variations on the same theme. Frosted hair, yoga pants, wine glasses big enough to drown a small dog in. The conversation died when they saw me. I smiled. A big, wide, Harold's up to something smile. Hey ladies, I said cheerfully. Sorry to interrupt. Just dropping something off. I handed Gloria a manila envelope. She took it with a suspicious frown. I turned to her friends, still smiling. Just some paperwork, I said lightly. You know, when one of you decides you're too good for your husband, it really speeds up the exit process if you have your stuff in writing. Their eyes widened. One woman actually gasped like it was a soap opera, and someone had just confessed to stealing a baby. I tipped an imaginary hat and strolled out. Didn't look back. Didn't need to. Step 4. The cherry on top. Saturday morning, while Gloria was still stewing and making frantic calls to God knows who, I set the final piece in motion. We had a barbecue scheduled that weekend. Annual neighborhood block party, potluck, beer kegs, awkward conversations about property taxes. Gloria had been looking forward to it for months. Not because she liked the neighbors. Because she loved showing off our house, our life, our perfect, happy marriage. Too bad she wouldn't get the chance. I showed up solo, carrying a cooler full of beer and wearing my best, I'm totally fine face. People noticed. They noticed more when Gloria showed up 20 minutes later, frantic, trying to pretend she hadn't been blindsided. And they definitely noticed when I let a few little details slip, casually, of course, about her yoga retreat being more of a full-contact couples therapy. By the time the sun set, the entire neighborhood knew. Not because I ranted, not because I made a scene, just a few quiet conversations, a few eyebrow raises, a few well-placed shrugs, and Gloria's perfect little social castle crumbled faster than a bad sheet cake. Her friends drifted away. Neighbors made polite excuses and left early. By the time I packed up my cooler and headed home, Gloria was sitting alone on a folding chair, staring at her phone like it might explain to her what the hell just happened. Step 5. Freedom. That night, I slept better than I had in years. No tossing. No turning. No wondering why the woman next to me felt like a stranger. By Sunday morning, Gloria had packed 2 suitcases. Didn't even try to argue. She stood in the kitchen, red-eyed and trembling, clutching a sad little duffel bag like it was a life raft. I can change, Harold, she said, voice shaking. Please, don't throw away what we have. I looked at her, really looked, and for the first time, I didn't feel sad. I felt nothing. You already did, I said simply, and I opened the door. She walked out without another word. The screen door slammed shut behind her with a final, satisfying snap. And just like that, I had my house back, my life back, my dignity back. No yelling, no drama, no police reports. Just good, clean, precision revenge. The kind that doesn't just burn the bridge, it leaves the other person standing on the wrong side of the river wondering how they got there. The thing nobody tells you about endings is how boring they are. You imagine fireworks, screaming, glass breaking against the walls. What you actually get is a sad little thud, a door closing, a suitcase zipper tugged too hard, a woman sitting on the bottom step, clutching her purse like it's a bomb that might go off. That's where Gloria was Sunday afternoon. After she left Saturday night in a rush of tears and accusations I didn't even bother responding to, I figured I was done. House reclaimed. Name cleared. Damage contained. But like every story that drags on longer than it should, she had to get one more scene in. I was sitting on the back porch with a beer, the dog from next door lazing under my chair, when I heard the knock. Not the front door, the back. The kind of knock that says, I'm not here to fight. I'm here because I have no cards left to play. I didn't rush. Let her stew for a good minute before standing up and stretching, taking a long swig of beer like I had all the time in the world. I opened the screen door. There she was. Sweatpants. No makeup. Hair pulled back in a messy knot. The real Gloria. Not the polished, camera-ready version she trotted out for charity galas and Facebook. Just the woman who, once upon a time, thought a double-wide and a 2-for-1 pizza night counted as a dream date. Can we talk? She asked, voice cracking. I shrugged and leaned against the doorframe. Talk fast, I said. Got a pork roast in the oven. I didn't. But she didn't need to know that. Gloria stepped onto the porch, arms wrapped tight around herself. For a second, a brief, gut punch second, I almost saw the woman I married. Not the liar. Not the schemer. Just the scared girl from Kinsley County who used to kiss me at red lights and laugh at all my terrible jokes. Almost. But the second passed. She started, then stopped, looking out over the backyard like she expected it to give her the words. I said nothing. Let her dangle. I messed up, she said finally. I know that. God, Harold, I know that better than anyone. I raised an eyebrow but didn't interrupt. I was lonely, she said. And stupid. And selfish. And, I don't know, angry at everything. At you. At myself. She wiped at her face roughly, angry at her own tears. I didn't want to throw away 20 years for nothing, she said. I wasn't planning to fall for someone else. I wasn't planning to hurt you. I just got caught up in it. And I didn't know how to stop. Her voice cracked again. Real this time. Not the fake trembling she used at block parties when she needed sympathy over some made-up crisis. I believe she was sorry. In her way. But sorry doesn't put broken glass back in a window frame. Sorry doesn't unring a bell. And sorry sure as hell doesn't rebuild a marriage burned down to the studs. You didn't just hurt me, I said finally, keeping my voice steady. You gutted everything we built. You torched the ground. Gloria sniffled. I know. No, you don't, I said a little sharper. You think you're standing here because you're sorry. You're not. You're standing here because you lost. Her head jerked up, like she hadn't expected me to be that blunt. You didn't come back because you realized you love me. I continued. You came back because Terry Tanlines turned out to be exactly what everyone with a working brain could have told you he was. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Smart move. First one she made all month. You gambled, I said. You lost. Now you want me to clean up the wreck. I set my beer down on the porch railing and looked her dead in the eyes. I'm not your damn janitor, Gloria. Silence. Birds chirping. Some kid down the street yelling at his dog. The low hum of a mower starting up 3 houses over. Normal sounds. Life moving on. Without her. Gloria's shoulders sagged. I miss us, she whispered. I snorted. Us. I repeated. Gloria, there hasn't been an us in a long time. There was me, holding everything together. And there was you, waiting for something better to come along. She winced. Good. Let it sting. I can be better, she said, stepping closer. I held up a hand. No, I said simply. You can't. Not with me. She blinked fast, tears pooling. I'm not angry, I said softer now. Not really. I'm just done. That hit harder than any shouting match ever could. She nodded slowly, wiping her cheeks with the sleeve of her sweatshirt. I guess I deserve that, she said hoarsely. You deserve exactly what you chose, I said. Same as everybody else. Another long silence. Finally, she stepped back. Can I come get the rest of my stuff tomorrow? She asked, voice barely above a whisper. I shrugged. Leave the key on the counter when you're done. She hesitated, like she was about to say something else, then thought better of it. Good girl. Gloria turned and walked down the porch steps, her shoulders hunched against a breeze that wasn't there. I watched her go, feeling exactly nothing. No anger. No regret. No sadness. Just a clean, wide-open space where all the noise used to be. When the screen door clicked shut behind me, it sounded final. And it was. Because you can say sorry a million ways. But in the end, it's still just another 4-letter word. Turns out, starting over doesn't come with fireworks. No anthemic music swelling in the background. No movie montage of me running along the beach in slow motion or redecorating the house with bold new colors. Mostly it came with paperwork, and empty dresser drawers, and a few long Saturday afternoons where I had to learn how to cook something that didn't come out of a box. Gloria moved the rest of her things out the next day like we agreed. She didn't cry, didn't plead, didn't even look me in the eye. Good. We'd already said everything that needed saying. The only noise she made was the soft scrape of cardboard boxes against hardwood floors and the occasional clink of a picture frame when she was packing up the few memories she still cared to carry. By 3 o'clock, she was gone. Left her key on the counter, just like I asked. It sat there for a long time after she pulled out of the driveway. This little silver reminder that I had been dumb enough to think promises were permanent. I tossed it in the junk drawer next to a half-dead flashlight and some expired coupons. Seemed fitting. I spent that first week alone doing exactly what I wanted. Nothing. No fake conversations. No forced smiles. No tap dancing around someone else's discontent. Just me, the creaky porch swing, a few cold beers, and the knowledge that I was finally free. Not happy exactly. Not yet. But free. And let me tell you, there's a kind of peace in that nobody warns you about. At first, people didn't know how to act around me. Small towns are like high school cafeterias that never end. Once the gossip starts, it moves faster than wildfire and sticks around a hell of a lot longer. Everybody knew Gloria had cheated. Everybody knew she'd gotten sloppy about it. And everybody had an opinion. Most folks tried to be subtle about it. A few mumbled awkward sorry, man, at the gas station or clapped me on the back at the hardware store like I'd just won some invisible prize for surviving public humiliation. A few wives gave me these sad, soft looks, like I was a wounded puppy limping around looking for a new home. I didn't need their pity. I didn't need anything from anyone. Except maybe my dignity, which, funny enough, was right where I left it the second I kicked Gloria to the curb. 2 weeks after she moved out, I cleaned the house from top to bottom. Got rid of all the throw pillows. All the useless decorative bowls filled with seashells we didn't even collect ourselves. Took down the live, laugh, love signs she'd plastered over the kitchen like a kindergarten project. Threw it all into a donation box and dropped it at the Salvation Army without a second glance. The place looked bigger after that. Airier, like it could finally breathe again. Funny how much space a lie can take up. I fixed the leaky faucet in the upstairs bathroom. Repaired the squeaky floorboard in the hallway. Painted the back deck a deep forest green because I liked it. Not because it matched Gloria's vision board. Small things, but they added up. I wasn't building a new life. I was excavating an old one, the one I'd buried under years of trying to be the version of myself that made someone else stay. And for once, I didn't care if anyone liked it. Especially not Gloria. She tried to text me once. For days after the move. Middle of the night. I miss you, it said. No punctuation. No apology. No explanation. I stared at it for exactly 3 seconds before deleting it. Didn't even bother blocking her. She could scream into the void all she wanted. I wasn't answering. Terry, for his part, tried to play damage control too. Ran into him at the grocery store. Literally, he bumped into my cart rounding the cereal aisle like a guy who hadn't practiced being normal in a while. He blurted out some half-baked apology. Said it wasn't serious, that he never meant to hurt anyone. I looked him dead in the eye and said, "You didn't hurt me, Terry. You embarrassed yourself." 2 different things. He went beet red and shuffled off toward the frozen foods without another word. Good. Let him marinate in it. The best revenge isn't getting even. It's getting indifferent. Somewhere along the way, between replacing the porch light and repainting the guest room, I realized I wasn't broken. I wasn't some sad casualty dragging my heart around like a road-killed deer. I was just a guy who got handed the truth. Ugly, brutal, liberating truth. And once you get that, once you really get that, you don't want the old lies back. You don't want the old life back. You want something real. Even if it's just sitting on your porch at sunset with a dog you don't own and a beer that's gone warm and nobody expecting you to be anything but yourself. That's freedom. And if Gloria ever figures that out, well, good for her. But she'll have to figure it out on someone else's porch. Not mine. Subscribe to the channel